Hey friends, Pastor Ben here for week 3 of the journey. This week we are talking about the value of journey with. We've been using these 5 weeks to talk about our mission, our values, and our discipleship path. And this week we're going to talk about the value of journeying with. And the reason why we chose journey with is we believe in our faith journey that everybody needs a circle of friends. Like everyone needs a circle of friends on their journey. I mean, if we had to figure this out on our own, we would be in a lot of trouble, right? One of my favorite movies of all time, and even still today, it's like top 5, is The Sandlot. I mean, I think one of my favorite films or favorite scenes in the movie has to be the one night game of the year that they get to play, the 4th of July night game, because when the fireworks go off, it lights up the Sandlot just enough, right? Just enough to see the baseball, to hit the baseball, and even to field the baseball. And I love when Benny Rodriguez just pummels it, hits it in the outfield, hits a home run, begins jogging around the bases, and America the Beautiful begins to play, right? Ray Charles, man, in that song, he's a musician, he's a preacher, and he's a baseball commentary. It's an awesome scene. But that's really not the point of the movie, right? Even though that scene is incredible, the point of the movie is a group of friends, strangers becoming friends, to overcome the beast, right? This idea of getting Babe Ruth's baseball back to the stepdad before he realizes that Babe Ruth's baseball is actually gone. Like, I think we all get it, right? Like, whether someone goes to a church or not, there's real value in the need for humans to be in a relationship, to walk with other people and have other people, walk with us. It is part of the human experience, which is why at RCC we would simply say that to follow Jesus means, part of it, what it means is that you need to journey with a circle of friends. And so if you're watching this, chances are you're in a life group, or maybe you're sitting at home watching this online thinking about being in a life group, right? So you might think, okay, I'm good. I can check that box off, moving on. But, people that journey with other people meet more than just, one day on a Sunday morning or one night during the week for life groups. These are people that do life together. They're in a life group together. They serve together. They go out to eat together. And we even have, this isn't mandatory, but we even have some life groups that actually go on vacation together. And you think about it, that's pretty incredible. I mean, depending on, if that would be interesting to you or would, give you life or fill you up. Everybody needs to be or have a circle of friends to journey with. Now more than ever, because when you ask somebody, I get this a lot as a pastor, if you ask someone that doesn't go to a church, they often say things like, I don't like organized religion. Or I'm not religious, I'm spiritual, so I'm fine on my own. That is a very Western American idea, which I think we might think that everybody else in the world thinks like that. But that's not true. Many of you might know the Apostle Paul, right? He, in his previous life, his name was Saul. He was killing a bunch of Christians, met Jesus, changed his name, new start, and now he's planting churches and wrote about a third of the New Testament. In Paul's letters, about 33, all right, let me say that again, okay? 33% of his content, which if you say anything 33% of the time, or one thing 33% of the time in multiple ways, it's probably important, right? It's probably something that you want other people to hear and actually do. Well, 33%, like a third of Paul's letters, are about living in community. The Greek word is alelon. It's the English word or phrase, one another. And so if you were to say to Paul, I don't go to church because I don't like organized religion, or I'm spiritual but not religious, he would look at you very perplexed. Almost a sense of like, what do you mean? To be in relationship with Jesus is synonymous with being in community with other people. It's how Jesus lived his life. It's how Paul lived his life. It's how all of the writers of Scripture lived their lives. And it's an invitation from God for us to live our lives in that same way. To come out of hiding, right? To be bad at hide and seek. To be open and honest and not just come across as knowing a lot about the Bible, but actually having a desire to be known by other people. Like who you really are. We might even say this, like a test of intimacy in your life group is not do you know the first and last names of the folks in your life groups, but do you know their middle names? Like how many people do you know that you're close friends with and say, you'd go, I don't know their middle name, right? We all need a circle of friends to walk through this life, right? To do this journey in following Jesus. One of my favorite films is a film called Into the Wild, based on John Krakauer's book, Into the Wild. And if you're unfamiliar with it, it's about the life of Chris McCandless, who grew up in a very wealthy home in Virginia. His dad worked for NASA. Home life was really intense and really rough. And what he decided to do is basically get rid of all of his money, all of his savings, and he wrote it to charity, and he headed to Alaska. And in Alaska, he decided to live off the land, to live into the wild, and to live in this bus. And he actually would journal about his day, how he's feeling, his diet, what he was eating. And sadly, Chris McCandless passed away because he ate something that was poisonous. And unfortunately, had he lived about, a week or 4 later, the weather would have warmed up and some hunters would have actually found him. But one of the last journal entries in his journal is a simple phrase: happiness only real when shared. And so you have these two competing ideas. You know that being in community with other Christians is a necessary value for your life. And yet you have many friends that are not in church, let alone a life group, because they think that the journey to happiness can be achieved on their own. And I think as followers of Jesus, we intuitively know that happiness is real when you can share it with other people. I'm excited for your life group this week as you talk about this idea of journeying with other people, what it means to value your life group, what it means to do life alone, one another. God bless you, and we'll see you next week.